Michael Klam. This is Conversations with Poets. Lucky to have you two guys here, Anthony Azzarito and Sunny Rey, possibly the hardest working poets in town, organizing, advocating for poets. My goodness, several readings going on, podcast, publishing. Oh, yeah, it's a lot. I can't imagine how you do it with a family. And yeah, so we're glad to have you here. And what we're trying to do is kind of like a living memory, like a living museum of who's done what and how San Diego got to where we're at now as a poetry powerhouse. You know, not just in town, not just in town, but nationally and around the world, really. Now, after all the Zoom stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, like, Poets Underground is sort of the baby or what embraces all of your projects, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how did that start? Did it start with both of you guys, or? Yeah.
I'm gonna take it.
Oh yeah, that's all you. But she's the birth mother.
I'm the birth mother of this area. So it started in 2019. I had at that time worked in the field of social work for about 17 years and found myself out of work for the first time in forever, and really wanting to connect back with my art. I had published a few books with Garden Oak Press, and with this free time, I just knew that I wanted to get back in community, do something that felt like my gifts and talents with social work, but applying it to the arts. Around that same time period, I had a friend who had a friend who was building something super cool inside the basement of Amplified Ale Works. And she was gutting out the acid vault, And she had just pretty much finished all the art that was going on in the room, and she wanted a one-off poetry event. So she was asking a friend, do you know any poets that would want to do one show for poetry down here? Because I think that would be pretty dope to start the space. And so I came down there and immediately was like, this isn't a one-off. We're gonna be doing this every week, actually.
Right.
And she's pretty skeptical. She's pretty skeptical. I don't know if people are gonna show up every Tuesday. I don't know if a once a week thing is really supportive of the desires of the wants or interests of the community. But I'll give you 3 months. So give me 3 months of headliners, and the idea was that the show format would be a headliner and then an open mic. So I quickly assembled all my favorite friends. And I didn't really know what I was going to do past 3 months because I had about 3 months worth of hookups. Right. But it was an immediate success.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people were really looking for this type of format.
I've been in the space. The space itself is a piece of art. You know?
Absolutely.
And it's such a neat place to be with a group of people who write, and artists in the room, writers in the room. What's her name? The artist?
Aubrey Miller.
Aubrey, yeah. And I think she's also been a headliner as well, right? So she does a little bit of both.
She has her own book that's coming out too. And she produced one of our first anthologies as well too during COVID. So she's been super instrumental to Poets Underground for sure. So what started as like a weekly what started as a weekly open mic ended up to grow and grow and grow over the pandemic time period. Are we doing the full history right now? Are we getting into it?
Let's do it. Because like I said, you guys are historical figures at this point, right? Especially because what you're doing is bringing community together. Poets of the people, poets about community. So tell a little bit about the how. I would guess that the folks who went to the open mic, read their poetry, got on stage, which is a brave thing to do.
Totally.
Then when they saw their poetry published, they must have just been over the moon,
Yes. So to get there, backtracking a bit, we had those 3 months of headliners. After that, the idea was always that it's going to emerge the other headliners from the audience, that this is going to attract through the open mic section those that have maybe never had the platform or opportunity before to headline. And that's exactly what it did. So we had, like our A team going for the first 3 months, and after that
that probably helped keeping that audience strong too.
Totally. But also during the open mic segment, having the spirit of complete inclusiveness and encouragement and positive feedback
Yeah.
for every single person that came up and spoke.
Absolutely. You guys are very good at this.
The atmosphere
Yeah.
was completely different than any other open mic that when I first went to, because the biggest piece I think was the feedback. You didn't see it, you know, like
Either it was feedback, it was competitive.
Yes.
Right? So either it was kind of like you finish your poem, you could hear a pin drop in the back, maybe some awkward,
small
you know, or the riffling, you know, right? It's always kind of awkward. Like you go up, you share, you know, you split your heart open, you say something super vulnerable into the nothingness, and then there's no return. Or there's the competitive nature where you're getting like a scorecard, you know, God forbid, you're not doing so well that day, but you really connected with what you said and your intention was set and delivered. So the idea with our positive feedback is that I really wanted to develop the writer and to develop the individual and to feel empowered through the experience. It really wasn't at the skill level, but it was more at the celebration of the share.
Here I am at travel, regulating imagination with reality, and what I'm thinking is that the sum of this whole goddamn thing to me is just another sad routine. It's just another shtick for a shtickster like me. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
And you have a way of greeting the brand new poets, like the first time in the
Our
room.
signature,
What's your signature? Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Let's have it.
And we got Sonny Ray up to the mic for the very first time. Come on, give it up for Sonny Ray. Oh yeah, let's go. Come on, let's give it up now.
Yeah. And the room just lights up, you know, and they get so much love right away.
It gives the person, the poet, the individual, the artist, the idealist, whoever they are, that they are there in that moment for them and them only, and then they're sharing it to people. It gives them like a headliner moment, you know, just before they're about to share their entire heart. We don't know what they're about to say, only they do. But if we give them that piece, besides, like, because I remember when one of the first times I performed. Okay, now next up we have Anthony Azzarito.
You're on.
Yeah.
Okay, like we wanted to alleviate that. We want to give that encouragement. And Sunny is way better than me because she's always like, come on, poet, yeah, let's go. Like, it's always, always, always first that we're giving empowerment and love and positive energy towards that individual that is speaking. And that's the most important thing from what we do.
Maxie, it was really nice to have you. I'm so glad that you returned here to the underground for that 13-year voyage away from poetry. Yeah, super dope. Thank you.
The energy's high and authentic. Like, I get the sense that the audience knows that you guys mean it and that your hearts are in this. Yeah, and it's very welcoming. Now, how about publishing? You guys have a new anthology out?
Yes.
And what about that? What is it called? I think it's
called.
And this is
It's
volume
not very catchy.
1.
No.
Right?
It's like pink and yellow and
Right?
yeah.
Oh, that's
And
it, yeah.
so, do tell.
So, okay, backtracking. We had our open mic. We had headliners. We had people emerge from the audience, become more headliners. Wild success, COVID hit.
Yeah.
The world shut down, flipped upside down. It's, you know, the afterworld. And we're all at a standstill. And we had developed all these relationships with our poets and wanted to give something back to the community for those that were losing their job or in limbo or wanting to connect or have means of income. So we thought, what if we come out with an anthology? It wasn't this one. It's called Buck Isolation.
Buck Isolation. I thought it was called Buck COVID. Buck Isolation.
No, Buck Isolation.
Gotcha.
A tribute to the COVID-19 experience. Yeah, and that actually was, get this, it's just so ironic. I thought of the idea in March of 2020, like right when everything was going down and we were pivoting shows to an online platform for the first time. And I literally thought, oh my God, we have to like capitalize on this now. People are gonna forget this happened.
It's gonna be over quick.
It's gonna be the 2
They
weeks
said
is gonna pass.
They said 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we should write a book on it now and time capsule it because people might forget this even went down, you know. And then we kind of set, we set like a date of June for that book to come out, thinking it would be long done. Fuck Isolation came from the spirit of, damn it, we can't go into in-person shows, you know, we miss each other. Here we are on an online platform. This is so crazy. I miss everybody, right? So it came from that. And then long after the title came a lot of riots and everybody else's conflicts and politics behind maybe that expression, but that's, you know, where it came from for us.
Sure.
But yeah, so we came up with the idea of doing an anthology. We published about 70 poets around the world. Because of it being an online platform at the time, doing our shows online, we could connect to a bigger audience.
Yeah, I sort of fell in love with it a little bit. At first I was like, the tech, you know, things are going to
Yeah.
go wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it's all
I don't
kind
know
of
if I
stuff that
fell in love
happens.
with it.
But
I was living for it.
That part of, hey, there's someone here from London.
Sure.
There's someone here from New York.
That was dope.
There's someone here
was-
from Tennessee. You know what I mean?
Totally.
We had folks from all over the world, and we do a bilingual edition too. So we had
that's
folks
cool.
from Unam all the way down to Mexico City.
You're hitting on so many
Yeah.
good inclusive
It was
points.
so great.
I love
so-
that.
it was,
Yeah,
I
why
was
don't we
silver
do that?
lining
All
for,
right.
for
Gotta
the
learn
Zoom
Spanish this
year.
experience, you know.
That's
but it was,
awesome.
it did. It was a serious. It was
It
a
was
big change for
wild.
everybody.
And the biggest
Yeah.
thing too that I just as a little kudos that our foundation wasn't, or the Poets Underground Foundation was in cahoots at that point. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Because she was virtual yet. We didn't have anything that was like the Acid Vault yet, and or again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, we
when
didn't know if it would reopen.
Yeah.
We were very in limbo. Yeah, we didn't know if our space, our community,
But you guys
what
like
that might look
besties,
like.
right? You guys
Yeah.
are very close.
Yeah,
to,
we love
Yeah.
the Acid Vault.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we ended up publishing the book, Fuck Isolation, and making it so that the contributing poets could buy the book at cost and resell it for its whole value. So they could buy as much as they wanted and make some money during COVID.
Yeah,
And it was a
that
huge
cost us a lot
success.
to
Yeah,
go,
it did
yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted the better at cost when it comes to this one.
Right. It saved even a few bucks.
That's right. Yeah.
Anthony's on that.
And then your own books. Like, my gosh, you've been writing since you were 12, right? And when was the first book? What year?
Yeah, 2013. It came out when my son was
2013.
born. Yeah, that was with Garden Oak Press.
2013. My goodness. Blur,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And then I
Blair's
got-
my little
yeah.
screenwriting gig in COVID.
I hit print when I was going through and researching, looking at you guys. Rot. I remember Rot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we met in that time period.
Yeah, it was in that time period, right? And then Anthony, you got one now that just came out in 2021, right? Yeah. So, did you bring some poetry today?
We did.
I want to hear a poem. Who wants to go
Yeah.
first?
We brought
How does that
poems.
work?
We wanted to read
Yes.
from our anthology.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
go
because
ahead.
that's what we're here to push,
Yep.
right?
Go
yeah.
for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Then we got-
Although he loves to perform, Anthony by nature is a spoken word performer. We're gonna dial it down and let him read
Oh,
from the
do that,
book.
whatever.
Yeah, this is our.
Now,
this
are
is
you
our
gonna
baby.
read
This is his
original
practice reading.
poems, your poetry
Yeah, we're gonna
from
read
this, or
ours.
from others too? We do it all.
We'll
We're
do
gonna do both.
us.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
right on.
read from those that we've published and Alexis Goodfellow, who we are publishing right now.
Orale.
Yeah.
I love it.
We get new shit.
I like it. Always, right? Onward.
An ode to Poets Underground. The beginning. All poets do awaken for the call to be heard, no longer forsaken. Beneath the trees lives thy truth's breath, to be hushed in silence nevermore. At the intersection of urge and the stillness comes courage to release a substance out into the atmosphere. Foreign, yet non-toxic to temperament, to any human being. An antidote into the stillness of the night, when the pen-pierced paper pleasures litter the floor before a stage is occupied, before a microphone acts as a host to the words that are needed to be set out into that dark night sky. Purpose within pentameters. The purpose has a predetermined destination, the heart. And then a poet is born.
You got like a ministry vibe, right? Like, you know what I mean? Open up and
Yeah.
speak, right?
Yeah.
Please, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that what we contributed, actually we got the idea from you, or was it Bill, but asked that when we contributed to the San Diego Poetry Annual that we maybe do something on Poets Underground or something kind of timely when we contribute. So I thought we would do the same with ours, that we're not just doing love poetry to each other.
Self-indulgent, saying how amazing Sunny is. She tells me how amazing I am.
Yeah.
They hear that enough inside the vaults,
Poor guys, Us hosting together is so obnoxious when it comes to just taking the mic just to read to each other.
I think part of the reason why people come back is to watch you two. You know what I mean? To watch you two interact on stage.
We had a good night when SD Poetry Annual took
Yeah,
over.
because we got to sit in the back. We got to be with our kids and just watch you do this.
I don't think there was an inch of elbow room in that place.
That was great.
That was a fun night.
Yeah, it
you
was.
brought
Cotton, the
heat.
UCSD professor loved it.
Yeah, we ran into him recently. He was upstairs, and we offered for him to do a headline.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we gotta get in
that'll happen
contact
this
with
year.
him.
Yeah, he's our judge for the Steve Cowett Poetry Prize this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
so
should
I
get
gotta
good
work
with him
with
then.
him.
We
Maybe
do.
we'll bribe him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
must.
You're looking at the winners right now
Right.
for this
They
year.
come in blind
Thank you
though.
for telling
He's
us.
not
Thank
gonna
you
know
for
that. He won't see a
Wow,
name.
this is
That's
why
it.
we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're this year's winners. That's
Oh my
right.
God, maybe he's going to tell us right now.
I didn't even have a speech
by the
prepared.
way,
Oh my
congratulations.
gosh, I'm blushing.
so
I'm blushing.
much.
Oh my gosh.
What were we doing? I
We've always
lost
won
track.
an award. We're very motivated by
Yeah,
those things.
yeah,
Give us a
yeah.
certificate, an award, a sticker, and
For sure.
$10.
A high five.
Are you? So you guys are every Tuesday, right? And a
Yep.
feature every Tuesday.
Yeah,
Are
and
you
then-
booked for a good long period?
Yeah, we're booked till almost
Almost.
May. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about May. Yeah, I mean, that's just for our own anxiety.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're really bad and we'll be like a week away and we'll be like, oh my God, we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
nothing
Why did we do this? Yeah,
booked
why
yet.
did we do
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
sometimes we're really good. We'll book super far in advance, and the other times we kind of take it for granted.
Right,
we're just
right,
enjoying
right.
the moment.
Yeah,
we have
and then you
a bunch
scramble a little
going
bit.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people wanting to headline. A lot of people are leaning into this art right now,
Yeah.
and so we're definitely
Oh, I'm
not
sure,
at a
but
deficit
yeah.
of finding
Yeah, you
somebody.
get those emails.
I think it has to. I think it's
15
starting.
pages about why you should feature me. Yeah.
Yes,
We're
exactly.
really bad with
Poetry and
discernment too,
video
clips
you
and
know.
stuff.
You don't have to do a lot. We
No.
think everyone's
You're
worth
like, "You're in,
time.
get
Yeah.
in here," yeah.
Really, I mean, if
That's the
someone
right-
gives us a few minutes of explaining what it is that they love about writing, we're pretty like hook, line, and sinker because that's
Yeah.
all we want to, you know. Yeah.
It was cool how we had somebody from Poland
Yeah.
in the anthology this year, and we found out afterwards because I was sending out the emails and congratulations on being accepted. I need this, this, and this from you.
Are you going to be performing live?
Yeah,
with us?
are you going to be there at the
a very
release
long
party? And they're like, actually, I'm in Poland. I was like, oh my gosh,
This is
like
so dope.
it's so cool. So
Awesome.
then we're not just hitting hearts and minds and souls in San Diego or California or that somebody has this book across the world. You know how that is since you guys have it down in Mexico for the bilingual edition. So like
Feels
without
It was so
you know,
good.
pushing
feels
that
right to
out there
branch
because we don't
out.
know who they're
It's
talking
good for the
about.
city.
We don't know who
good
those
for
people are talking to about our work, and they're showing, and it's how it's like the infection spreads, you know?
Indeed. Will you read a poem?
Yes, I'll read.
All right.
You know, I actually don't read that much since
Oh,
starting
you
to
don't?
host. I feel like I pushed my book so much from when my first one came out in 2013, and there was like an era for that, just like there's an era for writing. And now that I've been hosting, one, I'm like so intimidated because our poets are so good, you know, and so just from a critical mind, I'm like, there's no need for me to add here, and a lot of my like download or I don't know, my ability to hold space really comes in the feedback. And then after that, I kind of feel drained, not even like sharing because it feels like the connective piece comes in that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I very seldom share a poem if I'm
Right?
hosting.
And I also
Yeah.
feel like there's such like an expectation to it too. Like,
I
well,
know,
you're the
right?
host, so
Yeah.
you know, what do you know?
You better be on top
that
of
we
the
don't
game,
know,
yeah.
right? Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
very humbling.
Plus, it's usually late and long, and you
Sure.
know. Oh, and by the way,
Oh
everybody,
no,
hold on a
Anthony
minute.
starts it off. He just
Yeah.
dips in whenever he
Yeah.
feels like it. Yeah, he's like, so
Well, that's
I'm
part of
gonna-
your role, though, right? That's kind of part of the fluidity of the whole
Totally.
experience.
She
right?
calls me the what did you, the energy switch up. You know,
Yeah.
like she inserts me when
Every now and again, I'm
What
like,
she
I
does-
think we're
Room is
gonna
training.
need a
Yes.
moment
Dopamine
here.
dip.
yeah,
We got-
what she
It's
does
kind
is
of
a
like smelling
craft.
coffee
You know,
in between perfume.
You're the
You know?
coffee.
That's what
Coffee bean.
I'm a
You're that coffee
coffee
smell. I love
for
it.
for the other perfume.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Right.
between
No, but that's what
perfume.
she does. It's crazy with her. How she it's like it's like experiment. You know, she's like, I'm gonna take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm gonna put it together. Actually, Anthony, throw in there. She says her piece. What she says is the deeper meaning behind people's work that nobody else can say. I can't tell you how many times I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what did you even, how did you even get to the point of saying what, you know?
Nice of you.
You know, like she says the most, and it's that moment, it's those moments like that where you see that feedback from that poet, and that poet's looking at you, and she's looking back at Sunny, and she's like, oh my God, thank you so much for knowing me. She knew what she was trying to say. She knew what they were trying to convey when they might have not been able to.
So nice.
Hey, Sunny, will you read us a poem?
I will read us a poem. So this is the reopening, and it's an ode to Poets Underground 2. Piggybacking on Anthony's poem on Poets Underground, I wanted to acknowledge what it was like for us during that time to reopen and be invited back into space together, into community. And what it might take to step out of a man's headspace grave. Convince thyself that the clock has struck midnight, that the turnover is into the new dawn, and in truth it's begun. Where once it was left without tremples ticking, the hours frozen in tears that found will to continue weeping. Lived a candle high on a mantle, hope, refusing to be snuffed out by the brood fog of confusion and of fear. For a human heart was made for this. It was built with foresight knowledge of all it would need to muscle strong to resist. And resist we did. Well, we surely won. As feet marched down in the underworld of spoken word fun, we made it to the reopening, and we made it back to our stage. Tattered clothing turned gold, mic unplugged while wild wind blows out of our mouth into the brave lung caves. Silence never is a poet's will and wit and worth, for it is he and her whom have sat in the background writing out the destiny of which this reopening would be set in stone tablets for, never budging on morals and sandy lands. No, unless all could be included, the reopening time waited on standby. But oh, here, finally in celebration, the merriment bell no longer hesitating. Crowd burst through painted doors and bones rattled, a holy resurrection of the collective soul. Seat 1 packed next to seat 2, germ shared with germ old and germ new. Inhale and exhale. The glory of this night grows and glows over the nearby skyrise, to a moon that never fails us, and to a God that never leaves.
Do you write from a place of resilience often? Is this in your trajectory, in your path, writing?
Yeah.
Did you, because a lot of people write to entertain right away. Some people will write from a place of vulnerability. Like, how did you get your start? And have you, did the resilience part of your writing come with everything that happened?
I think I will name that now. I'm a resilient writer.
Yeah.
I write from resiliency. I definitely think that, well, thank you for pointing that out. I will run with this. So a bit of the background, I was born into homelessness, eventually adopted, had a lot of social services assist with building communities and merging an opportunity for me to succeed versus my siblings and birth mom who never really got out of homelessness and remained in the cycle. So around 12 years old, I started writing poetry kind of by accident. I was in class and I was trying to write a paragraph, I think it was like on a history report, and I have something called audio processing disorder. So it's a bit of a learning disability. It's a cousin of dyslexia, where when I read something, it kind of flows out the front, kicks out the back, and it's maybe skimming along. And so I started writing my sentences like that. I just got to the next sentence, got to the next line, got to the next line, in the way that I would naturally express myself. And I had the teacher reflect and say, oh, wow, how cool, you wrote it in poetry. What a creative thing to do.
You got a boost.
And I was like, what is poetry? What does that even mean? I felt really stupid, you know, because I recognized that all of my peers had written out these really eloquent paragraphs and had definitely met the brief more traditionally, but my teacher spent time with me after school, read me Shel Silverstein, and taught me how to express without having a lot of red pen and markings all over my work. For once, I had this time after school where I could just express freely.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I started running with that and had, a lot of early childhood traumas and things that were affecting me and my angst and my age and needing to be able to express the experiences that I was having in something that was not horrific, terrible pastime conversation, but a way to get right down into the emotions and to connect them to the experience, and not having to have answers yet is a really great thing that poetry allows you as a person who's processing. You don't have to have the conclusion yet. See, the poetry is really just in the experiencing of the event and your way to break it down, what it's like to just be present in that experience. And you don't have to rush to the start, and you don't have to stay at the beginning, but you can just be in the process wherever that is. So though some poems may have a resilient feel, I would say that overall the joy of my writing comes from being able to just process as is, and not having a drive or a need to meet any confinement, because it was always difficult enough anyway with that learning disability to have to meet other expectations that this was the area that was free.
Yeah. Right, because it's necessary. I'm glad you had a good teacher, right?
Yeah, she was, especially in Catholic school too.
Yeah.
I got so lucky.
I feel like there's always one.
She kicked in
Yeah,
the
and
There's
she
always
was actually
one.
the surprising one. She shouldn't have been the one. She was very mean in other instances, but in this area, she got it right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think too, like, that you're writing because it's necessary. You're writing because it's, it's your life, and you're telling your experience reflectively in a way that's true to your experience, right? A lot of people write to be liked or to get the scores, like you were saying. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that.
Not at all, especially when you're publishing. There's always that conversation that you come to.
But that's where audience really comes in. Like, which poems do you choose for your feature?
Sure.
Which poems are you putting in the book? Right?
Which one is worth an energy exchange of payment?
Right, just you.
What can they get from
and
it?
The poem and the experience,
For sure.
Yeah. And then get to that audience part later,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unless you've been commissioned or something.
Those are difficult to do.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
How about you? How'd you get started?
Well, I came from a space of anger. I started when I was about 14. Me and my dad started a pretty extensive or, long awaited, like, head bashing. Like, me and my father were always constantly at our odds against each other. It was from 14 to 18, we were always fighting. There was always some type of turmoil. There was some type of, like, it was nasty the whole time. So I was like a rebellious teenager. I started, actually, my little birth was hip hop and rap and underground rap. So I started rapping at 14. I started writing songs and picking apart song lyrics, rap lyrics, all that. So I just LimeWire, I was downloading music. I was all involved with hip hop and rap. And so a lot of underground rap has a lot of anger and vulgar lyrics. So that's where I birthed from. And then I didn't know my spot until later on. I have a potential of, kind of in Sonny's story, where there was a teacher that was like, you actually write poetry. And I'm like, no, man, I'm a rapper. Like, I'm gonna be the next rapper. Like, that's me. He's like, no, you need to do it this way, and kind of tailored just a small bit of it. And then for the longest time, I had a conflict of who I really was. Was I a poet? Was I a rapper? Was I an artist? Was I a performer? Like, I really struggled which one I was until I finally understood that they're connected, that rap is poetry, poetry is rap, and I developed a more keen understanding of what the lyrics meant to me, what the words were supposed to be felt, and how to project that, in a way that was really, important to me, and that's where my love for, like, spoken word performance pieces, me rapping, me giving, I feel like our words and our performance and our poetry, it's an outward expression. I'm pushing my words, I'm pushing what I'm saying out into the world for you guys to feel. It's not something to be, sometimes it is, reading a book and you're like this and it's between me and the book, but when it's an expression, it's supposed to be outspoken. It's supposed to, everybody's supposed to feel it. It's supposed to be a spray of emotion, feelings, understanding so that everybody can get hit. And I was in, it started with music. I literally dove straight in and I was consumed by music from the very beginning. And then poetry came afterwards.
In that moment you realize that there's a poet behind the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
This is how I fall in love with you. I love hearing these beginnings.
Public Enemy.
Oh,
Amazing.
we can go, are we gonna go, we're gonna go down that road. So I started out with, let's see. I mean, at first it was Coolio, then it, you know, turned into Dead Prez, talking about, you know, Public Enemy, NWA, all that started, Eminem, you know, that all, and then the underground rap started, and I could talk about
Now he's
rap
got
for
his
days.
oldest son hugged.
Yeah.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah, we got you. He's his little
Yeah,
prodigy.
you're so happy. Yeah, great.
Oh yeah, you
Fill
saw
the house with
they
music.
were there at
Oh,
the poetry
yeah,
night?
yeah.
So all
You
over.
met 4 of the 5.
Yeah.
Or was the teen? Oh, Trin was there that day. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
working. That's right.
How do you guys do it all? You got the kids and the.
I still don't know.
We have
They
ADD.
come a bit. That's right. You
It's
obsess.
perfect for
That's
us,
it, right.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
No,
good,
it's-
right? Keeps your mind focused.
It's
a purpose.
it's fun. It's
Yeah.
it's exciting. It's rewarding. It's hard. It's overwhelming. It's peaceful. It's joyful.
It's aggressive.
It's aggressive. All in the same thing, and there's so many different directions that we get hit from. So many, you know, 5 people, 5 different ways have 5 different needs, and we can't meet all of them all at once. But damn, do we try.
Yeah, we do. And Anthony and I think what works is we have the same life passion. We genuinely want to bring healthy communities together. We want to facilitate that, and it starts within the household. It starts with between us. We're constantly doing shadow work between us and healing of past traumas, of current things that come up. I mean, we work so hard on our mental and emotional well-being, and then comes the kids, and then comes the greater community. And it's with the same like mom and dad spirit that we really do come into Poets Underground and any venture, or with Poets for the People, you know, our 501c3 that we just started. It's just the same passion. So we're
comes full-
so lucky that we have each other to just stay on track with what our mission is.
Did you guys bring some poems to share from other folks?
We did.
All
We sure
right.
did, of course. We're so proud of the people that
Yeah.
we've been bringing onto the label.
All right. Let's hear from the community.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
why don't you talk about Alexis
So our
first?
newest addition to the Poets Underground label, Alexis Goodfellow, I'm going to be reading the prologue from her upcoming book that's going to be released in about 8 weeks, and it's called The Ballad of Charming Le Suave. Charming Le Suave was a dashing young gent, donning devilish blazer wherever he went. His figure would gather the women for miles to hang from his stash and admire his wiles. That charming Le Suave, with the click of his cane, could moisten their linens exotic and plain. From rafters and sidewalks the woman would call, as for charming Le Suave all the ladies will fall. They'd fall in his arms, they'd fall in his bed. They'd fall out of love only by falling dead. But charming Le Suave merely wanted to woo. He cared not to see any partnership through. So each of the girls he'd lie to and with, their feelings contorted by sounds of a smith. But once those kind words implied actions profound, charming Le Suave was nowhere to be found. And when the whole town had been under his gaze, soon reports of a new migrant woman they'd raise. A sweet spinster actress from woods afar, far away, weaving writing on parchment with a penchant for play. This sultry fair maiden whom he sought to kiss, she called herself Raven as he called her Bliss. So with scheming grin, meant to cowardly beguile, charming Le Suave strode with sinister smile. And he met with this lady at a dark, ugly hour, and he put on his tab her tan amarillo sour. And he loosened the band, holding in his long mane. He was charmingly suave at the top of his game.
Alexis is one of those poets that came the first time to Poets Underground, and I've never done this since. Right after her first poem, I was like, you're going to headline. We need to get you to headline. And she just banged out a stellar performance, memorized the whole thing, is incredibly theatrical, a brilliant writer. Yeah, and actually this book is 50 pages of one poem. This is one story, and it just never loses cadence, and it's just freaking
There's so much
brilliant,
imagery.
man.
There's so much you're writing on the next page. Like you're writing at the edge of your seat the next page. You're like, okay, what's going to happen?
Do you have a poem for us, Steve?
Yes, so
Oh,
Dennis
yeah.
Young, a little background on him. We published his book, The Ascension Key, over the summer. It actually came out in September in his birthday month. Has quickly become one of our best friends. We met him in the Acid Vault. And he is now one of the founders with Anthony and I of our 501c3, which is Poets for the People. It's our homeless outreach, our mental health outreach, our school outreach, nonprofit. And this is intention. A thought is a powerful wand, and a word is a mighty bond, to be aimed with conscious precision, to be spoken with crystal vision. Only lent to that which is wanted, never carelessly thrown or leaving one haunted. A thought and a word are one. The heavens need not send a sign when words and thoughts and deeds align. As within, so without, as above, so below. Each divine being can live in intentional flow. One cannot have and at the same time have not. Abundance is drawn to a clear and stable thought. Giving things to what is now within hand guides intention to mark desired to land. Need not to be read or analyzed. Focus intentions bring dreams actualized. And the mind is a magnetic gravitation, supporting every thought without hesitation. It's never unanswered, it's always received, that which the mind chooses to perceive. Unwanted gifts have no one to blame, but a thought's direction and its given name. The canvas of life is blank with potential, and what is focused on most becomes residential. Paint on palette and brush in hand, thoughts and words are the strokes that build new lands. Seeking what is desired in place of want and of lack ensures that intentions go out, but they never come back. Observing what is and taking inventory of such is a guaranteed way to never have that much. So mind is matter and matter is mind. Attuned to this truth, and one can easily find no stress, no strain, no toil, no struggle, no mountains to climb, no balls to juggle. Clarity and grace brings ease and flow, so quiet the mind to increase the know. Mind is so potent, there's no need to mention that which is desired when setting an intention. Yeah.
And people want to come to the readings, like what do you got going on there?
Yeah,
Where can
yeah.
people find you?
So they can find us at 1429 Island Avenue. Amplified Airworks on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock.
Address, babe. Good job.
Every Tuesday night?
Yeah, every
Tuesday night.
Tuesday at the Acid Vault is the
7 o'clock,
Speakeasy.
is that
7
right?
o'clock,
7
our
o'clock.
headliner starts. Open mic to follow.
Yep.
And then we have also First Sundays we branched out into our second venue
Yeah,
at
Riders
Liberty
Inn.
Station. Every first Sunday of the month, we are there at the Inspirations Gallery doing just open mic, but it's a triple threat. We got musicians, we got comics, comedians, and we got poets or artists. So it's like we're bringing everybody together,
Songwriters.
and songwriters and storytellers.
So that's a good place to be. Writers Inc. is an OG organization.
Oh, I know,
Oh,
yeah.
San
We're
Diego.
Inspiration Art Gallery is a cool one.
Yeah.
Partners, you know, yeah. Well, I want to say thank you. You guys are an inspiration. Love the work that you do, and it's so much for our community. So, San Diego Public Library, we have to give thanks. So, downtown Central Library
Yes.
for giving us this space.
Seriously.
And for you guys to be part of conversations
thank you so much
with
to
poets
Downtown
means a
Library.
lot to me because I dig you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
we dig
again.
you.
For meeting with us, Michael.
Yeah.
It's really special.